Hey you guys, Michelle and Jen here with you with Wellness Crew, and we were getting together today to have our wellness pod conversation.
Correct.
And we actually had something planned that we'll end up doing a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the news really grasped us, and we sat down immediately before we started, planning this video for you.
Yeah.
And our conversation naturally evolved into what's happening with Simone Biles.
Yep.
And the Olympics right now. And really felt like it was a very important conversation as we're going through talking about our own opinions and things about it.
But just for background, in case you're watching this video a little bit later, what's going on right now are the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which really are 2021 because of COVID. And Simone Biles, who is, just greatest of all time, is, very easily to say. I mean, Michelle just told me that they increased the point metrics in order to account for her difficulty. Yeah. She's been in gymnastics for so many years. Anyway, she's the best, and she's really been the face of this Olympics. We've seen her, we've heard about her, the news articles are all about her.
She's incredible.
And she's just insane. And
it's not just to say this too, it's not just about how good of a gymnast she is. It's also about how she shows up for her teammates, right?
Yeah, she's very, I was thinking humility as soon as you said that. Yeah, she's like the girl next door, but she's so good.
Yeah.
And yes, she showed up for her teammates. She has helped build one of her new BFFs, I suppose, into this great gymnast. She was actually, I think she was going to end up retiring, and she was like, no, you still have something left. Come, I will train with me. And now she's on the Olympic team and now has a silver medal. So yeah, she's just an all-around great person. And so what happened this week is that, of course, we expected her normal greatness, and I would venture to say we still got her normal greatness.
Yeah.
Just in a very different way. So she dropped out. So what happened is that in the prelims, she had a few misses, which were very shocking. She just wasn't her normal, stick the landing self. And a day later, 2 days later, when it was a team qualifying, she ended up missing a vault the way that she normally would have performed it. And she went out to check on herself, and she told her coaches that this is it. I don't feel as though I am in a mental space to compete and to complete this Olympics. So I'm going to let my teammates go from here. Yeah. Which I can tell you, initially when I heard that, it was very disappointing, and I almost felt like it wasn't the right thing to do. And I'll pause, because y'all know my opinion, I've already stated it. I was raised in a very much mind over matter. You do it, put on a brave face, go out there and do what you know how to do.
Right.
Don't look back, don't think about it, just keep going. And that is where gymnastics has been previously. And as Michelle and I were talking through it, there's so much strength in being able to say, you know what, no, I need to pause.
Yeah. And what I think was interesting about what happened when she came off the mat, right? Mm-hmm. And she looked at her coaches and at her teammates. And let's also say that this is what we're hearing, right? We don't know the full story, right? We don't know the full story. Yeah. And, may never know. However, she could have come out and said, I did have an injury on my ankle and this is what's causing it. But she didn't.
No, she didn't. She said, I'm physically just fine. I'm strong and I'm capable.
She said, this is about my mental health.
Yeah.
And that, I have chills just thinking about, we were talking about it over here. I started to get choked up thinking about it, because how strong of a person do you have to be to say, you know what, pause. I have an awareness about myself to know that this is not right. This next step for me is not right for me, and it's not going to serve me, right? And that's a big deal. Yeah. That's huge. So
and we're talking about the Olympics. We're talking about gold medals.
The biggest
we're
stage.
Talking about the epitome. I mean, you're at the peak of the mountain again. And
at 24 years old.
At 24, which apparently is a grandma in gymnast world. And I'm like, oh geez, no, she's a baby still. Yeah. But she's, in the same sense, she's not, because what kind of maturity and wherewithal and just strength. Again, that word keeps coming up, of being able to say, like, no, I'm physically okay, but I'm mentally not, and that's why I'm saying that I need to not participate.
Right. And it was very interesting to me, like, as we're reading these articles, you're looking at Facebook, you're looking at comments. The comments and the opinions are all across the board, like, you should have done it. Like, you trained for this. Why aren't you doing it? This is a cop out. All of that, all the way to people who are way more compassionate like us, who are going, holy crap, you're so strong, Simone.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing. I'm so proud of you.
And this is what our girls need to see, right?
Yes.
And this is how we need to evolve. And that's what made me realize it was like the evolution of us being able to say, I need a mental health day, to being able to say, I need to not compete in the Olympics. The evolution that we've had in the past, 2 years, I think COVID like rapidly increased mental health awareness. There's been so much growth, and it's still hard for me though, because I still want to be like, no, you just need to power through it. Not to Simone, not in this case, but like in just general. And that will probably always be my struggle. But I've done so much better at pausing and saying I need to step back and that than I ever was. And I think it's just the overall acceptance, but also being able to have that, because when I deliver that message, the person on the other side has to be able to accept it and to understand it and to honor that space. Michael Phelps said that it was about holding space, and that was in a different context. But i.e. my boss, like if I said I need a mental health day, if that was 5 years ago, he'd be like, you need a what? You want to go swim? Like, I don't get it, And now, we have mental health days baked in where you can say, no, I'm not going to tell you why I need a day off, but I need a day off. And you can take care of yourself. And so I think that's amazing.
Well, and the other thing is the evolution of how we're starting to see things out here in the public, but in our personal lives and with our jobs, but also the way that it's being portrayed in the media is something we touched on, right? Because look at, and I'm going to bring up another hot topic right now. Free Britney.
See, I was going to go Prince Harry, but okay.
Oh, there's another one. Look at all these, where even just a few years ago, everybody was, where these people who are on this big stage in front of all of us, and I'll go back to Britney Spears, because that was like, 10 years ago?
At
15
least.
years ago? When she was having this breakdown, and we're watching it live in front of us.
No, now I'm almost embarrassed. And it also makes me realize, but how are we watching things in real life now? Because there's still sometimes where like you're watching the train wreck and you're kind of enjoying it. And now we can look back at Britney and go, okay, that wasn't a train wreck. That was someone having a mental episode. And like, that's not funny.
It's scary.
It's not entertainment, that kind of thing. But we also need to put that lens on like current life events. And going, okay, what's really going on there, and how can we help, and how can we not eat popcorn while it's going on
and be judgmental, right? Judgy,
right?
Which is what so many of us did, and so much of the world did with her.
I know. My birthday's on Britney Spears. We're the same. We're birthday.
Your birthday twins?
And for a little, we're birthday twins.
I didn't know that, Jen.
You really didn't?
No.
Well, now you know.
Britney's my girl. We're the dancing girls. But we look at that now, and now, with the Free Britney movement, everybody's going, okay, guys, that was not okay. Right? Yep. And it's good, because now, as we're watching this evolution, even with Harry, like Prince Harry, there's been it also depends on what side of the pond you're on.
Well, what I like about Prince Harry is him going, all right, I don't have to be the status quo of what I was born into. And yes, this is what y'all expect of me, but maybe I want something different. And I don't know, that one's interesting. Yeah. Because I do agree that it's also evolving. Like the more he puts out books, the more I go, you pick one, like you don't want to be in the media, or you do. However, I just have a soft spot. Anyway, I can't objectively talk about that one. Not because I'm like,
you were a little girl one time.
No, I had a crush on William, not Prince Harry. But like later in life, Prince Harry clearly is the better looking one. No, but with Meghan and like we had babies together, so like I connect with them as a couple, and I would just say that, you know, anyway, I'm biased. I'm on the other side of the pond. I'm an American. I'm like girl power.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the thing is that, you know, now we're looking at people and their lives with a little more of a
Nuance.
And yes. And our lens is changing. We've evolved. And now, thankfully, with what's going on, even with Naomi Osaka, is that how you say her name?
I think so.
Yeah. The tennis player, even with her and with Simone Biles, the thrashing of the media, you know, and like spinning this to be something negative, it's not happening. And I think that's amazing because it shows our evolution, to quote you.
Yeah, I mean, as Americans, we are expected to perform and to perform on cue and always be the best because we have this freedom to do that, right? We have the freedom to train, perform, eat, that kind of thing. It's this kind of like, I mean, maybe I'm raised by a Marine Corps, so it's just, again, mind over matter. And we're expected to be at the top of the leaderboard. Like, second is not okay for us. We have to be at the top.
Yeah.
And I think it opens up the question or the acceptance of saying, if number 2 has you walking away happier and less traumatized, then let's go for number 2.
Right. Well, it was interesting.
And be happy about it. Do you see how much joy those girls had with their silver medal?
Gosh, yes.
I mean, that gets me choked up because, that's just powerful from a standpoint of like, you don't need a gold. You just need to perform at your best. And when your best is also sitting out, then that's where you need to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, in life, it just makes you, how do we take those learnings, which are so profound and so unexpected, because the expectation of Simone is that we would take away, we need to be on routine, we need to train hard, we need to be diligent, we need to be consistent. Like, that's the message that, to be gold, that's the message we thought we were getting from this Olympics, right? Mm-hmm. And instead we got, it's okay to be number 2 and be fully where you are.
And intact.
Right?
And leave intact or mostly intact, right?
Yes.
I mean, one of the things one of the quotes that she had was, or that I read about that Simone said was that, you know, this sport has been something that she's loved her entire life. And at some point, her happiness was, I'm paraphrasing, was being taken away to make other people happy and not herself.
She was performing for other people and not
for herself anymore.
It lost its joy for her. Not joy is my word. She said happy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because
I don't know.
We're such a consumable. I'm in this we're in such a consumable society. We almost consume athletes in this Olympic journey in the same way. And when you are the consumable in that you are a 30-minute clip in a dinner routine or a nightly routine, it doesn't feel so good, maybe.
Well, I think that, you know, that's a big thing too, is that, you know, with the Michael Phelps documentary, The Weight of Gold. Yeah. Right? That's what they touch on.
That one.
Yeah, it's so good. It is. And it's interesting because it opens your eyes as a consumer, as a watcher, as a viewer, to see, you know, the entire journey of an Olympian, right? And these hardcore athletes who are training all year or years, they get there, they do the job, you're watching, they're in the spotlight, there's all these interviews, and then they get their medals or they don't. And then they get to hear all of the feedback from all of the people, all of us, right? The good and the bad. And then they come home and everybody's gone.
It's quiet.
It's quiet. You know, like imagine that for yourself. Like,
and all of these, for the most part, everyone's 25 and under, right?
Yeah, it feels that way. Well, Michael Phelps, I think, did it when he was 27, right?
Okay, but I think he's the exception.
Exception. Yeah, he is. But it's a big deal when you look at somebody, like we have, to your point a few minutes ago when you were saying, you know, we thought the message from this Olympics was routine. Go for it. Be number 1. Do what you're here to do, right?
Yeah.
And instead, the message that we're getting is mental health is number one.
It's
That's
the priority.
really what's number one. Making sure that we are tapped in enough with ourselves, because if not, if we don't have this awareness of ourselves and what's going on, then it doesn't matter how much weight you can lift. It doesn't matter how many turns you can flip. At the end of the day, you have to be happy with you.
Yeah.
And you have to live with yourself and hopefully be enjoy in this life, right?
Yeah.
We only have a limited time.
There's so much, it translates so well. Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. So I'm so proud of Simone.
I am too.
I really am.
I am too. And it's just such an unexpected thing.
Yeah.
And for her to be able to put words to it, is powerful. And it's just a good example for our girls.
Yes.
I'm going to claim your girls as mine.
Yeah.
But in our boys, for that matter, from a standpoint of our mental health is number one. And sometimes mental health looks like sitting out the game.
Well, I think that this is such an awesome conversation, and I hope that we hope that you continue to have this conversation in your household and see how people feel about it, but also to bring in the conversation about mental health and what you guys are doing to make sure that your mental health is at its peak, right? There's a couple of books that we are on our reading list, right, Jen?
Yeah, so there's 2 books that we picked out that we would love for y'all to read with us. The first is This Too Shall Pass. We'll go ahead and put below in the links the link for it. Will be an affiliate link, so if you do purchase, we'll get a little bit of, what is it?
Like a little back.
A little kickback, let's say.
That's what I wanted.
And then the other one is going to be
I was just going to say, that's by Julia Samuel. That's why I was pulling this up. Make sure I got the author's names right.
Yeah, and then there's Radical Compassion, which just sounds lovely. And that's by Tara Brack is what I'm going to, and I'll put them in the link below. Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and read those over the next couple of weeks. When I say that, one book at a time for the next couple of weeks, but just to learn more and to kind of dive in and to really be a constant check on our own mental health, because just because we're talking about mental health doesn't mean that every day we're checking ourselves to see how our mental health is and pulling back or pushing depending on where we're at. And I think that, an overall message is you have the ebbs and flows, and they don't always peak or flow when you want or need them to. And to recognizing that if it is an ebb where it dips down when you need to be at the top, it's okay to say, hey, I need to pull back even though I'm at the top. Like, even though I'm supposed to be performing right now, I need to represent myself right now in order to be able to have a sleep, in order to make it through the day, that kind of thing. So
absolutely. So we are Team Simone for sure. And cheers me.
Cheers.
Cheers. Team Simone, and we're Team Positive and well-being.
Yeah, team choosing yourself over anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
We'll leave you there. All right, bye.
Bye, guys.